Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which of course means it is once again time for our weekly viewer special. If you're new to this channel or this series in general, first of all, welcome. Glad to have you here. And second of all, let me tell you exactly what we do every week here on Mondays. We feature replays from you all, the viewers. It's a great opportunity for you to show off that cool game or build that you've been meaning to get, some more eyes on, and really just come together and cheer each other on for those cool wins and decks. So if you are interested in submitting a game for the viewer special, then you are going to want to head down to the description below. Down there, you are going to find an invite link to our Discord server, the Hexlexplex. Once you are in there, under the Master Duel section, there is a channel called Viewer Special Submissions. All you need to do is drop your 9-digit player ID there, and then I can see your publicly saved replays. If there's one particular game that you really want me to see, make sure that you're leaving your opponent's name, the date and time, or a screenshot, just something where I know that that's the game that you want me to see. But that's pretty much all there is to it. So now that I've explained all that, let's take a look at some of your replays. Okay, our first replay of the video comes to us from Draco, and Draco is going to be on Predaplant, one of the archetypes that got support in the latest pack. And this has actually made Predaplant quite a bit stronger. I think it's going to remain a pretty solid upper rogue deck for quite some time. Yeah, Primitive in particular, this is such a powerful card. Very, very much needed for the archetype. So very eager to see how this plays out. And our opponent is actually going to be on branded Dracotail, and we're going second. So this will be a pretty good way of indicating just how strong this deck is when it comes to being able to push through an opponent's board. All right, no hand traps either. It's going to be all engine going into our opponent's turn here. Let's see what they do. They're going to lead with the Ketu Dracotail, adding Lucius from deck to hand. Normal summon Lucius, that'll activate in order to add a Fine Mana. All right, now Fine Mana is going to get discarded. And they're going to fuse Lucius with an Orgola in the hand. That'll let them go for the Arthelion. And now, of course, they can start to get their Dracotail effects. So Arthelion's going to add the Fine Mana back to hand. Lucius and Orgola also, of course, get 2 set cards here. There's Rahu Dracotail. And this will probably be Flame. Oh, it's Sting. Okay. And then, as mentioned, Arthelion wheels the Fine Mana back to hand. And then I can flip up the Rahu, send the Fine Mana from hand, as well as the Pan from deck. And now they can make the Golemel. Now they'll get to set the other 2 trap cards here off Fine Mana and the Pan. Oh, they must already have Flame in hand, because it looks like they're setting Ketu here. They actually didn't even activate the Pan. That's a little odd. Oh, they had the other 2 trap cards in hand. I see. So we can definitely assume that they have Flame, Sting, and Horn face down. We're going to lead with Princess Drakenna, the Thirsting Tree. They're going to immediately use the Dracotail Sting on the monster that we binned, which was the Bibslip. Bibslip. Alright, we got the Orphis Scorpio. That's going to let us summon the Lily Lizard from our deck. And that can add the Primitive. Which one did we discard there? Oh, we discarded the Lily Lizard, and then we special summoned Longnefelia. Oh, these names are so brutal. That's so brutal. Alright, so they're going to use Fine Mana at this point. And we are chaining the Called By. And there's the Flame. So we were definitely expecting that. But that's going to free up our ability to now use not only the Primitive, but also this Pot of Avarice as well. Alright, so Flame's going to put back the Sting. They get a draw. Our Call By is negated. And Fine Mana gets to resolve here. They're going to fuse the Ecclesia and Albaz in their hand in order to make the Albion Sanctifier. Now we're going to activate Primitive, sending the Darling Cobra from the deck to the graveyard. I think that's what that one's called, right? Darling Tonia Cobra, okay. Baltel, level 4 Synchro monster, comes down. That can revive the Cobra, which can then add super duper polymerization. But here we're first going to use instant fusion in order to go for the level 5 Predaplant fusion here. Now that gets to add a Predaplant card from graveyard to hand. We're going to grab back the Lily Lizard. They're going to use Albion Sanctifier at this point. putting Incredible Ecclesia on their field and then Lucius on ours. Now the Ecclesia gets to activate, and they're going to go for the Fallen of Albaz. It's going to discard Branded Fusion in hand and actually fuse with the Lucius in order to make Secretarian Dragon. I was expecting Mirror Jade off of one of our extra deck monsters. Okay, there's Sting. We're going to use the Spider's effect from the graveyard Banish in order to put a Predaplant counter on the Secretarian. Now we can pop that and revive one of our monsters from the graveyard. Next up is a Synchro Summon for 7. It's going to be Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Now Lily Lizard gets to activate. We're going to add Fusion Substitute. And now our Clear Wing becomes Dark. Now we can fuse. Oh, I see. We summon out the Starving Venom and then we fuse with it. And that's how we get the Starving Venom Wing Dragon. Now we're going to Pentascale the Mantis. Starving Venom Wing Dragon gets to activate. We're going to pop one of their face down cards, which ends up being the Fallen and the Virtuous. Now Fusion Substitute will allow us to fuse, including with our Pentascale, in order to make the Predaplant Trip Overtum. Again, I know I'm butchering these names. I'm not even trying at this point. All right, Mantis is going to drop a bunch of Predator counters, which also hugely buffs our boss monster here. Princess Tracania gets to activate here as well. We're going to revive the Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Now moving on to battle phase, we're just going to swing in for lethal in one attack. Wow. I didn't realize that Predaplant had such potent OTKing, abilities. Like, I figured we'd probably like super poly them or something, but we didn't even need super poly to be able to push through our opponent's board state here. That was excellent. Thank you very much, Draco, for that submission. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, so this next replay comes to us from Ken, aka Grave TS, over on the Discord server. And we're going to be seeing yet another archetype that got support from the latest selection pack. It's Trains. Obviously, we have a playset of the Night Train Blue Traveler, and we've got our new boss monster here, the Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Rocket. Now, you might notice a couple of things here. One, this is actually a mirror match. We're going to be playing against a going second train deck, and we know it's a going second deck because we actually lose the coin flip, but we're going first anyway. And yeah, this replay might be a little bit short in terms of turn count. We're actually going to see how to win with trains on your very first turn. Train FTK. Seems like it's funny how this was a mirror match, but also a very poor matchup for our opponent here. Alright, so we're opening with a bunch of Infinitrack Harvester, as well as Heavy Freight and Heavy Forward. Harvester is going to summon here. We're going to get the Tunneler. Now Tunneler gets to activate. We're going to send the Harvester in order to special summon. Next up is Heavy Forward. It's going to add the Infinitrack Bulldozer, which can then activate, sending our Tunneler in order to special summon. Now we can summon out the... oh, which one was that? Trencher from the deck, making our first rank 5, which will be the River Stormer. Alright, River Stormer gets to add an Earth Machine. It's going to be the Night Train Blue Traveler, which will then discard in order to add the Revolving Switchyard. Now we're linking away our River Stormer for the Link one, what is it called? Goliath, yep. Here's the Revolving Switchyard, and we're going to use Trencher's effect, Banishing, in order to revive the Harvester. Now we can link the Goliath plus the Harvester, and that will let us make the Cleafort Genius. I remember playing this card in Super Heavy Samurai. Night Train gets to revive, so does the Harvester. Cleafort Genius gets to activate, because there are 2 monsters in the scales here. We also get the Revolving Switchyard effect here. So we get to add the Regulus, and then as well as summon the Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede. Now we can revive one of our Infinitracks in the graveyard, and we'll throw down the Regulus for the equip. Now Harvester is going to change the Regulus to 10, and then we're going to link summon, this time for the Ancient Gear Ballista, another card I remember playing in the Super Heavy Samurai deck. It's going to add Box. Box can special summon itself. Oh no, sorry, it adds another Earth Machine. Okay, here is the... let me see this one here. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Flying Launcher. Add an Earth Machine monster or Barrage Blast from your deck to your hand. Interesting. And then what is this one that we added here? Heavy Armored Knight Babbledecker. Oh, because it has 500 attack. That's why the Ancient Gearbox was able to add it. Normal summon without tributing. Special summon an Earth Machine from your hand. If your opponent activate a card or effect, you can go into a rank 10. Okay, okay. Just want to make sure I knew all the effects here. Okay, we're going to add Scrap Recycler, which facilitates many, many combos. Battle Knight's going to summon out the Scrap Recycler. Now we're going to change the Scrap Recycler to level 10, or treat it as level 10, and then overlay. And that'll be our first Gustav Max. Gustav Max, of course, can detach to inflict 2,000 damage to the opponent, so I imagine that's where a lot of the FTK aspect is going to come in here. And sure enough, a second Gustav Max has hit the board. It's going to be activated yet again, detaching to inflict 2k damage. Now we're going to link away our two Gustav Maxes in order to link summon the double-headed Anger Knuckle. This will activate, letting us special summon a level 10 machine from the graveyard. It's going to be the Heavy Freight Train, and we can banish our Gizmek in order to revive the Gustav Max here. Now, Heavy Forward allows it to attach itself to Gustav Max. Here's another 2k, that's 6k damage. And now we're going to make yet another rank 10. Is this just going to be the third Gustav Max for the win? Sure enough, that's exactly what it is. And they're not even going to let us win with the damage. They're going to concede first. So it looks actually exceedingly simple to be able to OTK with trains, or FTKs, or OTK, I guess if you go second. But yeah, it really just involves having 3 Gustav Max in your extra deck, and then having a means of reviving one so Heavy Forward can attach, and then you can deal the last 2k damage that way. So that is some good stuff. All right. Again, it's kind of ironic how this was a mirror match, and yet it ended up being such a poor matchup for our opponent here. All right, that is going to do it for that game. We still have time for one more, though. Let's finish off with this last replay. Okay, our final replay comes to us from Kinohara. So Kinohara is also testing out a tech from the latest selection pack, and that is going to be the Phydraulis Harmonia. However, we're testing it in branded of all decks. It's kind of funny how Phydraulis Harmonia you would think would only be able to work with decks that only synchro summon, but as it turns out, the card is really, really flexible in what it can do, because the most important distinction of this card is that it does not prevent you from summoning monsters that aren't synchro monsters from the extra deck. It only prevents you from activating their effects. So these cards like Fallen of Albaz and Super Polymerization that use fusion summoning as disruption to fuse away your opponent's monsters as material, those will still function under the Phydraulis Harmonia, because again, this doesn't prevent you from fusion summoning, you just can't activate fusion summon effects. And on top of that, there are actually some fusion monsters where we don't even need to activate the effect. The big one is Dragon that Devours the Dogma, right? The effect that says while Ecclesia monsters on the field or either graveyard, this card gains 500 attack. Also, it is unaffected by other cards' effects. This is a continuous effect. It does not activate, meaning that even if you resolve Phydraulis Harmonia, if you have Ecclesia in your graveyard and summon the Dragon that Devours the Dogma, it'll still be a 3,500 attack towers. And looks like our opponent here is going to be on Elf Note Synchron, which is a fun deck. They're not on Phydraulis Harmonia for some reason. Maybe they haven't pulled it yet. They should definitely be dropping stuff like the Raigeki for it, in my opinion. But okay, we're actually going to be going second here, so let's see what we've got. I noticed too, as speaking of Super Poly and targets, we were also on the new Starving Venom monster as well. Pretty good going second hand. We got Fua, Ash Blossom, and Droll pairing with the Cartesia and the Mercurial. We're going to Fua them. They're going to special summon the Elf Note Tinia, placing Welcome Home, normal summoning the Elf Note Power Patron. Now they're going to bump the Tinia up to level 9 and synchro summon for a level 10. It's going to be Baron de Fleur. Elf Note Power Patron gets to activate, but we're going to use Ash Blossom to stop that. But they are going to use the Baron negate, which is very surprising. I would have thought they would have wanted to save that for our turn, but I guess they want to keep making plays here. I guess, to be fair, they can summon Lucina without giving us a draw, right? They can use Lucina. They're going to add the Regina. Now they're going to use Welcome Home, sending away the Lucina for Regina from deck. Regina is going to activate, summoning Fortuna from deck. I think they're giving us a lot of draws here, but let's see what they're setting up. They're going to revive the Elf Note Power Patron using the Rhapsidia. Okay, here's Seraphim Strelitzia. Regina's effect gets to add herself back to hand. Now they're going to special summon Regina from hand, sending away the Welcome Home. And here, in response to the Seraphim Strelitzia, we are going to fire off our Phydralis Harmonia. So not only did we use the Harmonia to disrupt their plays, but we are locked out of using fusion monster effects on our turn. We're going to dump the Malong, popping the Seraphim Strelitzia, and then Malong is going to bounce the Elf Note Power Patron back to hand. We're going to special summon Junkmeister, and then activate, adding the Junk Armor. Wow, they really are just going to play right through our Fulos, aren't they? Taking the challenge here. Junk Armor is going to activate, summoning out the Revolution Synchron from the deck. Now Junkmeister is going to level adjust, and they're going to Synchro Summon for level 5. It's Junk Speeder. Junk Speeder gets to activate. They're going to summon out Scrap, Assault, and Stardust Synchrons. Stardust Synchron is going to activate, adding Junk Signal from deck to hand. Now they're going to Synchro Summon for a level 6 using Scrap plus Junk Speeder. It's going to be Rage Rose Witch. That'll let them send the Garden Rose Maiden from the extra deck to the graveyard, which, funnily enough, if they were on Phydralis Harmonia, they could use that to send the Garden Rose Maiden to the graveyard. Alright, here's Assault Synchro Stardust Dragon, reviving the Assault Synchron, and making a level 10, which is going to be the Bestial Dispater. Alright, Garden Rose Maiden's going to activate. It's going to revive the Excel Stardust from the graveyard. This will then activate, summoning out the Stardust Dragon, and then synchroing, I would assume, for Crimson Dragon here with the Stardust Synchron. Looks like that's exactly what's about to happen here. You know, a deck like Synchron, I would actually be somewhat concerned about getting decked out if it were Maxi. With Fulos, yeah, we're still fine. Oh, but here is the Maxi. Speaking of that, we have no fear of getting decked out here. I don't think it's gonna I don't think it's realistically gonna happen here either, to be fair. Alright, Rev Synchron is gonna dump Medius off the top in order to revive. This will be a Synchro for level 9, which is going to be the Vermilion Dragon mech. And now they're gonna use Crimson Dragon to go into... You're really gonna Trishula and hand rip one card after giving us that many draws? Really? Like... I guess that also banishes our Harmonia, sure. I guess, you know, I will say, I guess, to be fair, if they're going to rip one card out of our hand, that Cartesia was a pretty good rip. Not going to lie. Alright, Vermilion Dragon Mech's going to activate after getting popped. It's going to add back the Assault Synchron, and then Rage Rose Witch is activating here as well to revive. Assault Synchron's going to special summon itself, and now they're going to sync for 8, I believe that was. Yep, level 8. It's going to be Cyframe Ward Omega. Again, we're really concerned about hand-ripping a couple of cards here when we've already given so many draws. Alright, Junk Signal revives the Excel Stardust. Now, Magnum Hut's actually going to get to banish out the Stardust Synchron, except they're going to put up back our Cartesia to negate with Dispater. Okay. Alright, Stardust Synchron resolves and revives. They're going to Synchro for level 12 yet again. I would assume this is for Crimson Dragon again. Yep. Alright, here's Omega for that hand rip, one of our 2 Nadir servants, and they get to revive the Omega here with the Dispater, giving us a draw to then rip another card from our hand. Oh no, they're not even going to bother ripping. So, by resolving the second Fulos there, what we've actually done is, Oh wait, no, because it only puts back until you have, yeah, 6 plus whatever they have on field. I was going to say we'd have to put back again, but... Nope, just the once. Kind of a weird hand we ended up with at the end of things here, but we're going to Fulos again. There's no reason not to, really, here. Looks like we're chaining Branded and High Spirits. They're going to respond with the Rhapsidia, dumping Scrap Synchron to revive the Seraphim Strelitzia, and we are chaining the Fallen and the Virtuous. Popping our own card here. Rhapsidia gets to revive the Seraphim Strelitzia. Branded and High Spirits is going to dump the gold, or reveal the Golden Sword Soul, and then dump it. to add more courier, also sending the Granganol in the process of doing that. All right, here's the Rage Rose Witch. We're going to chain Call By against it. And then we also get to throw out the Magnum Hut here. We're going to banish out Medius the Pure. They're going to chain Bestial Dissipator yet again on our Magnum Hut, putting back our Harmonia that got banished in order to negate it. All right, Call By Resolve is going to banish the Witch. Now we get to use the Golden Sword Soul effect because a card got banished. They're going to chain Crimson Dragon, which should allow us to use our Granganol here as well. Majestic Star Dragon, that is an Omni Negate. That also board wipes. Maybe that's why they weren't concerned about playing through Fulos. They figured the Majestic Star Dragon would be, you know, enough here, but we're going to resolve the Phydraulis Harmonia yet again. Sending away the Cyframe Lord Omega. They're going to chain Majestic Star Dragon to our Despy and Lula Willilith, which will negate and also, again, board wipe here. Now, Assault Synchron gets to revive the Majestic Star Dragon here as well. All right, going into our main phase, we're going to use the Graveyard effect of Omega, putting it in the Harmonia back. Now we're going to dump Ecclesia for Fallen of the White Dragon. That'll summon Incredible Ecclesia from our deck. Now Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon gets to activate. This will force the second activation of the Majestic Star Dragon here, which will once again negate and then board wipe. And now we're going to normal summon Albaz, pitching the Droll Lockbird. Our opponent's going to chain Cyframe Lord Omega, as well as also activating Elf Note Regina. Looks like Seraphim Strelitzia is also activating here. Wow, they're just going for everything. And then they concede? Or was it a time limit thing? It was time limit. You know, I will say, though, we were just about to make the Dragon that Devours the Dogma, and the thing about Synchron is that it burns through its entire extra deck on turn 1, so I don't think they would have had literally anything that could deal with the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. Their only real option would be to battle over it, but they would need Majestic Star Dragon, which we've already forced them to get rid of, not once but twice, even planning for the Assault Synchron. So I think even without that time limit win, our opponent's days were definitely numbered there. Because again, remember, even though we use Phydraulis Harmonia, we can not only still activate Albaz, but the Dragon that Devours the Dogma is still a 3,500 attack towers. So that was a very, very heated back and forth game there. But thank you very much for that replay, Kinohara. Super appreciate the submission, not just from you, but from everyone who submitted. Even if you weren't featured, you know, submitting for the viewer special is super duper important because without any submissions, we could not do this series, which has been by far our longest running on the channel. So thank you all so very much. But that'll do it for now. Before we move on to the end of the video, let's go to the outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.